Welcome to the coaches meeting. That's the coach.
What's
I'm
up?
Grant Cohn. What's up? The title of the show is "Who will be the Niners starting quarterback week 1?" Like the concept is, if you could go to Vegas and bet on it, and I bet you could, who would you put your money on and why? We'll get to that. We're gonna also talk about the Super Bowl, what it would look like if the Niners were in it, why Niner fans and the team seem to freaking hate the Eagles so much. But I think we need to start with closure. The Niners still haven't found it. They're on Super Bowl media row right now talking about how this was stolen from them and how much it hurts and how they can't get over it. Understand it. Very emotional. Let's talk about closure, Coach.
Well, yeah, it's important. Each year from year to year, I know we have the same players, but it is a different team from year to year. And it's important to do that because you need a new ethos, you need a new mindset, and it's also
a fresh start.
Yes, a fresh start. It's also important for competition. And I've had a very, very small coaching career, but I've been blessed to be around some very prominent mentors. And I've had some notes that mentors have passed along to me about closing out a season the right way and as a coach. And just a couple of steps. There's like 5 of them that they're important to kind of look at from a coaching perspective. One is not looking to justify. You don't have to sit here and justify what happened. You're not looking at the defeat. The defeat was valid. You have to validate the defeat, and also you're not looking to justify because you're more focused on answers. All right, you're not questioning the test. The test happened, okay, and you took it.
Because real quick, what the Niners are saying is essentially this was not a legit loss. They didn't get the chance to compete, and as long as they feel that way, they'll never find closure from this loss.
Yeah. And with that, I think step 2 is you just have to be ready to take responsibility for the entire thing, from the very first play of the game to the last play of the game. Okay. Yep. Once the kickoff happens, the Eagles started playing football. So did we. Okay. And you also have to be ready not only to take responsibility for the whole thing, but you need to take responsibility for your role in the whole thing. What was your role? What did you do? And if you're not ready to do that, then you're not ready to examine the entire situation.
Right, because right now they're at unfortunate circumstances happened. It's really too bad. That's where they're at.
They're not really examining the entire situation. And also moving on is you can't be resentful. You can't blame anybody. It's no one's fault. The game happened. Somebody had to lose, right?
Right.
So being resentful and trying to blame refs, or I did it, trying to place a little bit of the shame on somebody else. No, you got to stand tall. You got to put 2 feet on the carpet, and you got to own it. And also owning it brings into the next step is that you have to stop blaming yourself. Self-forgiveness allows you to get to the bottom of what failed with your role adequately included. You're not perfect. And if you're blaming yourself, and if you think you're too perfect, then you'll never look at yourself in a sober way on what did you do. And then the last thing really is, closure is a process. It's not something that just happens, just like healing. And the last step is you're ready to hear things that you may not want to hear. And you're ready to have somebody talk to you and say some things that may touch an open wound, but
like the Eagles may have been better than you.
Or what are you going to do to protect your quarterbacks moving forward?
There you go. You were somewhat complicit. It wasn't just bad luck. It was 2 quarterbacks, and then it was 4 in the season. What can you do? Yes.
And that's very important. You got to be ready to hear some things that you don't want to hear. And if you're not ready to do that, then you're not ready to close. And what you're going to do is you're going to be holding on to old baggage. And I just kind of have a little bit of like a funny stat. After our Super Bowl loss, we had a party, right? Yep. Which is notably talked about, correct?
It's unusual. I've never heard of it.
Well, I got something for you, Grant.
Okay.
There's only one team that I know of that kind of mimics our track, and that's the Bills, even though they went to 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Sure.
And notably enough, the Bills, after they lost 20-19 to the Giants, they had a parade in Niagara Square.
No way. A parade?
Yeah. They had a parade.
For what?
Exactly.
For what? Wow.
And they cheered on the kicker that missed.
Oh, who missed. Right.
Who missed the kick.
Right.
And I'm not here to have a spiritual seance, but that was talked about around the league at the time.
Yeah.
I went back and did some reading around and poking around, and it's there's something to be said about teams.
Like, you want to pick up your guys. It was emotional, but at the same time, you just rewarded failure. You just celebrated failure.
25,000 people showed up to that parade.
Oh, yep.
So I'm not here to shit on us, but at the same time, it's important for us to take our medicine too. Mm-hmm. We got to take our medicine.
Because here's the thing with closure, why it's important. The whole thing with sports is moving on. You want to learn your lesson and learn from your losses, but you can't dwell on them. Yeah. You got to move on and focus on next season. Because if you learn from this loss and let it fuel you, it could be exactly what you need to get over the hump and win the Super Bowl next season. But if you're stuck in the, wow, I can't believe that happened. What happened? Oh, it was bad luck. Nothing we could have done differently.
Right.
Then you're stuck in the past. And then you're on studio. You're going to be on Super Bowl road next year talking about this. Man, I can't, if only that 2022 season, man, that 2020, that was it. No, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't. It really wasn't. It wasn't it.
And we just need to really own this, just own it, man. I mean, like, I think I'm taking a line from you, Grant, but Brock Purdy didn't get hurt in the parking lot.
Right.
Okay. Yep. He did it.
Neither did Josh Johnson.
And also I watched the Hassan Reddick interview where he actually talked about the play. Where he injured Brock, and he said he gave the offense credit. He said, yeah, well, usually the play was ran out of play action, which is supposed to get me to shoot up faster. Right. So the play, really, he was coming to block somebody that was supposed to be running upfield. But we had already schemed up the play action that they were going to do, and I ran past the fake and went straight to the quarterback. Yeah. So even if you want to give the play credit where Brock should have stepped up, you got to give the Eagles credit for scouting us.
Yeah.
They scouted us up, man. You got to own that.
Yep.
So it's unfortunate the way it happened. We went down on our sword. Nobody.
It's one game. You could beat them next year. You're going to face them next year on the same field. Move on.
Yeah.
Give them the respect.
Closure,
yeah.
Closure is one of those things where it sucks, but it could be quick if you just do it. But if you don't, it can linger, man. Yeah. And it can show itself in a lot of different ways. And
it's a sign of maturity. As you get older, it's something that you value and you understand.
Because you need it.
Yeah. When you're 24, you don't know about it. And you're like, nah, man, we should have won. Nope, that's not the way to think about it. That's not the way to win. Yeah.
You need it.
Voice ad agency says can't blame them for not owning it. Coach does not. It's true, man. It's tough to own it when your own coach sets the tone there, right? How are you supposed to talk when the coach, that's a good point. Gaiman Brown says, the coach, what's up, fam? You, me, and Grant got to get a burger together sometime. You are knocking it out the park. Like 3,000 miles apart. Gammon, I don't know where you are, but one day,
Gammon is my man, though. Me and Gammon have rapped on the phone before. Gammon's my guy.
Gammon's my guy. All right, let's for fun, let's indulge the 49ers and go to Bizarro World. Let's indulge the Niners and go to Bizarro World where Brock Purdy's healthy and they beat the Eagles, and it was amazing. How would things be shaping up in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs? How would this matchup look to you?
First of all, the intensity would be at full froth. Like, the way they beat us earlier in the year, coupled with the history that we have already, how they talked about us after they beat our asses in the beginning of the year. Yeah. This would be the ultimate brass nut dragon affair, honestly. I feel like the rhetoric about Brock would be at an all-time high, especially beating a team like the Eagles, and for good reason, because defensively, I think the Eagles are better than the Chiefs.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, so for Brock to have come out of an Eagles game where they saw us coming, right, at their house, the confidence in what Brock could do would be at an all-time high. Even if he did have manageable numbers, right? Like even if his numbers weren't even anything to pop out about, I mean, case in point, we're still looking for Jalen Hurts to have a big game, and he had mediocre numbers against us.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that defensively, this game will be all about the secondary. It would be about our secondary against Patrick Mahomes. And I believe that for what we did, I mean, even in the loss to the Eagles, I was pleased with what we did in the air. I mean, our secondary. I was very pleased about.
Yeah, they gave up 120 yards to the air. Yeah.
Yeah, and not only just the yards that they gave up, but the long passes defended, which is like a specific issue that we have. Then they did so well. So I think that we will be coming in with confidence through the roof, as would I. And I think that what really hurts this team is that I feel like if you get them behind closed doors, the guys will say, we knew we had to beat the Eagles, but the Chiefs are who we really wanted to see. Right. And this will be a game. This will be a game where it would be for the destiny of it all. I feel like, I mean, you've mentioned it before. Andy Reid got one off Kyle. Yeah. And I feel like he will want one back. Running the ball, I don't think that they'd be able to handle us on the ground running the ball. I think being able to come in with CMC, I will believe by this time Elijah Mitchell will be healthy. By this time coming around. Yeah. EJ will be healthy. Jordan Mason will be healthy. And I think that we will be really ready to just continue business that we left off in 2019. Because go ahead.
Well, I think what's so upsetting for the Niners here is that Chiefs look kind of vulnerable to me. And everyone's picking the Chiefs to win this game. But to me, like, you got
They look
Mahomes
gettable.
Dude, they got Mahomes on one leg, okay? He's still great. But Mahomes on one leg, which is better than Mahomes on two, and then no Tyreek, and no Mecole Hardman. Hardman scored 3 touchdowns on the Niners when they faced 3. They were totally unprepared for how the Chiefs. He's gone. Juju's hurt. So Pacheco's good, but the Niners faced him. Like, this is a great time to face the Chiefs, which is why I'm picking the Eagles to win this game. It's a great time to face the Chiefs. I felt like the NFC Championship game was the Super Bowl, and the Niners really could have beaten the Chiefs. They could have beaten the Chiefs.
Yeah,
they could have.
I feel that way too. That's why we discussed this topic earlier on, Grant, is that this would be the game where I feel like we would have them flat-footed. This will be the game where we would really want to see them. Patrick Mahomes is not as mobile as he would be. They don't
bracket Kelsey. What do they do? Oh, you're gonna throw to Jerick McKinnon? All right, okay, we'll live with that. I can live with that.
We know Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, he's not gonna beat the Niners in the Super Bowl. Right. Although he did have a nice play against the Niners this season. But I'm just saying, if you take out Kelsey, which I think you can, if all these wide receivers are hurt, then it just comes down to the 2 running backs. Like, I don't know, man. Good luck.
Yeah, I think that we would do phenomenal against them. They're a good matchup for us, especially for where they stand now as far as health is concerned. They're a really good matchup for us. I would love for it to have been us.
Because how do you get the Niners? You extend some time, throw the ball down the field. Well, is Mahomes, could he do that against the Niners in the Super Bowl? Does he have the guy to get it down? I don't know. I might even have picked the Niners if they had been in this matchup, but
I would have took the Niners. If we'd have faced the Chiefs, I would have took the Niners all day. With Brock Purdy, I'd have took the Niners.
I think you could argue it. And look, I'm picking the Eagles. I just don't think the Chiefs are a great team. Great quarterback, great coach, great tight end, great D tackle. That's their team.
Let me ask you this. What do you say to Jalen Hurts' performance in the Super Bowl? Because I feel like he did okay against us, but
NFC Championship?
Yeah, an NFC Championship game. I feel like he did okay against us, but I feel like he's still a little hurt.
He threw for 120. He didn't do a whole lot. Basically, what he did was he didn't do what Dak did, and I appreciate that. He didn't just give the game away. I don't know what the hell Dak was doing. So he didn't lose the game, but yeah, I mean, he didn't look like an MVP candidate to me in that game. He was going against a really good defense, though.
Yeah.
You're right. He doesn't look 100% healthy. He doesn't.
And I think that he's so solid across the board. Not to get off topic, but he's so solid across the board. But there's such a huge drop off in how he executes that offense when he is under pressure. Yeah. And that's what the Chiefs do. They get the quarterback. That's so
I mean, they got a great O-line, but Chris, I want to say something controversial. I feel like, what's his name? Chris Jones, wasn't it Chris Jones? Why am I not know?
Yeah.
Chris Jones. I think he might be better than Aaron Donald. He's so big. He's such a load. He's so hard to block. Now, Aaron Donald's really quick and he's hard to block too, but they're like on different ends of the spectrum. The guy is so dominating.
Aaron Donald picks his spots. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Aaron Donald picks his spots. He's not Aaron Donald every down.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
And Chris Jones is that big and that strong every down. He's imposing. Yeah. To say the least.
Yeah, I definitely
But anyway,
say that.
We got the Niners winning the Super Bowl in Bizarro World. It's too bad they didn't make it.
Yeah, I got the Niners. I got a dominant performance because we would slow the ball down and really play them. Even in the game that we played them before, we were doing okay in the beginning of the game. What really hurt us was I kind of feel like they did what the Niners did a little bit better than us. They got to the outside really quick with Mecole Hardman. And once they started getting outside and got us going east and west, and them tongues started wagging and the fact that we were so hurt.
They were also jet lagged. It was their first game off that West Virginia trip. They always play bad off that 11-day East Coast trip because you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So there was that
and
too.
we do know
they were hurt too.
One undeniable kryptonite of this defense is keeping them on the field too long.
Yep.
For the style of defense that we play, we can't be on the field too long. We can't.
Yeah. Also, you got to make Nick Bosa a run defender, and you got to run right at him. And the only guy who's ever really been able to do that successfully is Andy Reid. He can do it. He's the only guy who can do it. Point. Yeah, but at times he makes Nick Bosa look like a liability on the field, which is crazy. Yes. I mean, he's that good.
Well, he keeps him off balance. He chips him.
He does.
He runs right at him. He does a lot. He stock blocks. He crackbacks on him.
And there's so much misdirection. He's got like Nick Bosa's head spinning because Nick Bosa wants to just blinders on go, and he's like, "Well, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Yeah, it's coming at you.
Yeah,
it's coming at you."
Andy's really good. I mean, I will say this about Andy is that Andy Reid, in my opinion, has a Hall of Fame level screen game package. Like,
oh my God, it's Bill Walsh level. It's Mike Holmgren level. Yes.
His screen game package from every position on every level of the field is unreal.
Crazy. Yeah. But to me, he's so in love with it because it's so beautiful. It's like his baby that he's never committed enough to running the ball because he's like, well, those are extended handoffs. Yeah, but you're not imposing your will on a screen pass. And I know maybe that's not a big thing in the West Coast offense, but sometimes I feel like for them to beat Philly, right, you gotta run the ball. You can't let Philly's D-line tee off on you. And I guess screens will help that too, but you got to be committed to Isaiah Pacheco running the ball for them to win this game.
Well, I don't think they are. I don't think he's a full load back, so TBD, okay. Right? And
they got Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back. They got Jet.
Right.
Sorry, Jared. Right. You would understand why Niner fans and journalists would be like, "Wow, he's still playing. Good for you, though."
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was shocked at his reemergence, but he's found a role.
Hey, one more thing. The fact that he could reemerge, again, makes you look at the Niners training staff and Kinlaw being like, does Kinlaw just need to leave? Does Kinlaw just need to leave? Because, I mean, the Niners have had an issue with certain players. We can't get you back. And then they go, and they're like, oh, actually, I guess I just needed to change the scenery. Something to think about, Javon, if you're out there.
I will say this, because I love, stepping on your tail. He's not being used the way we were going to use him anyway. Jerick McKinnon. He's essentially a third down back.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not.
I just want to use him like he was McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's not doing what we was asking him to do. He's getting gentleman's reps.
Bubba says the Niners had four-star head coaches in 2019 and didn't get it done against KC, so I'd take them again. Is he talking about on their team? I guess they had Kyle, McDaniel, D'Amico, Saleh. That's true. That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that.
I mean, coaches notwithstanding, I still take us due to what that team is now versus what we would be seeing them. I still take us.
I just feel like the team that Patrick Mahomes won with over the Niners, that team is so much better than the team he's got right now. That team is
not even close.
Not even close. I mean, and it's almost, was he making like $4 million that season? I mean, he was on his rookie deal.
What sucks about the league, and this is a point that I was not gonna say about Andy Reid, but it's kind of bringing it up now, is that you're right. That Chiefs team in 2019 was far better than the team that they have now.
Yes.
Not even close,
Not
right?
even close. Yeah.
But then at the same time, you have to think about it. A coach like Andy Reid, who's, God bless him, he's a Hall of Fame coach, but he's coached forever, right?
Yeah.
And he's been known to be stubborn in how he goes about the game, right? And he finally got one. Is the league diluting to the fact that it's just so much passing and we're not dedicated to running the ball as much that the floor lowered and Andy just got one? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. The league evolved in his direction, and his like lack of commitment to being his finesse style of football like stopped hurting, because everyone's finesse now.
Exactly.
Everyone runs outside zone, and
he's like the GOAT now and it's kind of like
finesse football.
Yeah. But back when it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, he was looked at as like, Andy, get a running back. Andy,
but what's funny is he's going up against his old team, which has a good running back and a quarterback who's a running back too, and they run the hell out of the ball. So it's interesting. I mean,
this is going to be karma. The football guys are funny.
Absolutely. All right. Well, no, hold on. We're going to come back to you. We're going to go to the next topic though. Okay, so this is so interesting to me. Usually in football, it's not like boxing or the UFC. You just say nice things about your opponent. You say, man, they're underrated. They fly around. They're well coached. They're talented. I mean, they just do everything great. And the Niners do that. Everyone does it. The Niners did that with the Cowboys. They do it with all their opponents, but not the Eagles. When asked about the Eagles in the lead up to the game, they were all like,
they knew.
We'll see. You know, they're great on paper, but we'll see, which was not how the Eagles talked about the Niners. It's not how the Niners talked about any other team. Now they lost, and still it's like, I don't know about the Eagles. I think the Chiefs. Why can the Niners not give the Eagles their due? And what is it about the Eagles that triggers Niners and their fan base so much?
Because I don't think the Eagles are bothered by the Niners, and I think the Niners feel it. We get a little bit of a kick out of kind of being the pretty girl in the room. Everybody sees us coming. They respect all phases of our team, from the front office to the head coaching to the staff to the players. And it's just, we're a thoroughbred franchise, and sometimes,
but also insecure because you don't have the hardware to back it up. You haven't been wiped up yet.
Exactly. And the Eagles, they got a recent one, and I think Cat Williams said a 300 looked good. It looked like a phantom until a phantom roll up.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? That's right.
It's kind of like it's a little bit of insecurity, flat out. Let's just say what it is. Because when you respect somebody that does what you do, you have no problem being gracious to them. What's crazy about it is that after the game, I watched Darius Slay and I watched Kelsey and all of the guys talk about, and they were, of course you won, but they were very gracious to the Niners. They were
great team.
Not only great team, but specific, pointing out plays and players, right? Really not even laying it on thick, but just being fans of the game. And one of the things that I wish I would see a little bit more is the guys are just a little too cool for school. They're on a pedestal. Like, lighten up, man. Like, we understand you lost. We understand you're good. But be a fan. Be a part of the game, bro. You guys are not in the show anymore. You don't have to show up. Like, it doesn't take anything away from you to. It
doesn't. It takes something away from you to say they're not that good. To me, what you do is, man, the Eagles are the truth. Kansas City's going to see what that's a great team. That's what you say. Because it takes the sting away from your loss. You lost to a great team, not a fraudulent team.
Yes. And to anybody listening to that who really is paying attention, if you come off that way, that would get them behind you more. Like, yo, the Niners are cooking up some shit, bro. Like, they flushed that loss. There's no remnants of it. You could tell that like they took it and like they're really looking at themselves. But I feel
that's the team you don't want to face next year. That's the team that's got their head on straight and
I feel like when you see our players talk about it, like they're wearing it. Like even this is one of the greatest guys on the team, man. Like even Christian McCaffrey, he was like, I want them both to lose. Grow up. I know you're being funny, but like, just pick a winner, bro. Like, come on. Like, we understand that you got the way you guys lost, and it's a
Painful.
blow to the ego.
It's painful. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a blow to the ego, but it's like, bro, if you there's so many bad things that can happen on the other side of this if you don't let it go.
Yep.
You know, and
it can get worse. You face this team again next season in Philly. It can get worse.
Come on.
Wipe your hand across your mouth, get up, and move on.
Own it.
Move on. Own it. Eagles are good. It's you and them. It's you and them. That was the Super Bowl. It should have been a better game. It should have been a better game. But frankly, you didn't respect them like you should have. You still don't. It's on you. Next time you will, right? You will. Next time.
We got to show some class. And that at the end of the day, you know, we got 40, you know, the Niners are, we're a cornerstone franchise. You know, we're one of the 13 colonies, if you will, of the NFL.
Hell
you know, and, you know, if you want to think about it, the Niners are basically the East Coast representation of football in the West Coast. They're tough. They're gritty. They run the ball. And there's not a lot of it was the Seahawks for a little bit, but the Niners are the team that have the bedrock of that style of football.
That's true.
And with that, when you take a loss, have some class. All right.
But so that's another thing, though. The Eagles have sort of replaced the Seahawks as that other physical NFC team. I mean, they out-Ninered the Niners this year. They did with Jalen Hurts what the Niners wanted to do with Trey Lance. I mean, frankly, they're a year ahead of what the Niners are doing. And these are the two teams that you would build, that you would model after if you don't have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen.
And
you
it's
don't
good
have,
to have them.
Yeah.
It's good to have them there. It makes the league, you know, it's like, what are we doing all of this for? You want to play somebody that's as good as you, right? So,
build up this rivalry. This should be like Niners Cowboys from 35 years ago.
I would embrace this. I would embrace this. I agree with you. I think we need to.
All right. Sirs11 says 3 things. Montana, please shut up. Edelman was right about Jimmy, and this is Trey's team. Yeah, Edelman was right about Jimmy, but at the same time, I would have done the same thing this time. If you were Jimmy's agent, if you were Jimmy, would you have done anything differently than what he did?
No.
It's business.
No.
Even though you want to act like it's not, it is.
It's business.
And if the Niners wanted to play, then there's business. You know,
it's business.
There's the language of business they could talk.
It's business. Yeah. I'm not bailing you out twice. And when it's business, I'm sorry.
Fair. Maxime says, glad I finally caught this show live. Just wanted to say that the coach has been an amazing addition to your rotation. Great insight. Isn't he?
Man. Thank you.
I agree. He's terrific. All right, let's get back to the show. All right. This is the title of the show. If you could go to Vegas and bet on this, and I'm sure you could, who the Niners starting quarterback will be week 1. And I don't even know what the odds would be, but if you had to pick one and put actual money on it, who would you bet on to be under center week 1 for the 49ers?
Trey Lance. Without
Me too.
Without
Why?
Well, Brock is hurt.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't care what you say. Being rehab doesn't mean being ready to play. So we don't even know when he's going to come out and be ready to play. And we don't even know what he is once he comes out and being ready to play. And then we don't even know how long it's going to take for him to get comfortable once he's out and once he's ready to play.
That's like 3 unknowns right there.
Right. And the irony of all of that is that anybody who wants to get behind that plan should have been behind the plan to start Trey Lance right away when we first got him.
Yeah.
So
the hope and a prayer plan.
Yeah. So if you're ready to get behind the throw Brock out there with wadded bubble gum on his shoulder, then you should have been behind the Trey Lance plan of throwing him out there day 1 after the draft. So you make it make sense, right? So that's number 1. 2 is I understand that what Brock has done in the 8 games that he's played, but the investment in Trey has to be sought out. We got to see it all the way through. And I feel like with Trey being ready to go through with the season and Trey being ready to go, with the offseason and him being able to actually throw and get with guys and be ready to play, if Trey Lance isn't the week 1 starter, it's
a bad thing.
There's so many other
because it means that he failed and they had to rush Brock back, like bail us out. Our season could go off the rails immediately, please. Yes,
that's what I meant. Exactly.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, bro. Like that's what I meant by the last time I spoke to you on the other show is if Brock Purdy is the week 1 starter, Faithful, then that means that Trey Lance is
so
not
bad.
the guy. He's that bad. Okay.
Because think about it again. He said he wants a chance to compete. Dog, you're gonna get every rep,
every chance,
every freaking rep in OTAs, minicamp, and probably training camp too, and preseason. So you got a super highway, man. You could take all the lanes. You could do your thing.
That was real cute. I was ready to compete. I'm like, with your competitor not even ready for surgery yet. Okay, Trey. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what he wanted to do, what he was trying to say, but Trey Lance should be the week 1 starter. And to be honest with you, we won't even know what he really is until he starts playing real games, meaningful games, right? So even though we're going to go through, I mean, let's just chart it out, right? The season it happens every year. So let's chart it out. We know we're going to go through OTAs, right? We're going to go through mini camp, and then we're going to go through camp, and then we're going to get all of these reports about how we looked, how bad he looked, how good he looked, and then preseason is going to inch. We're really not going to know until week 1, right? We're really not going to know. And if Trey can't make it to week 1 with Brock Purdy coming off of surgery, that is bad news for us. Bad news. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, so a lot of this is like how bold is Kyle? Because last year he lost his nerve. Trey had some up and down practices against the best defense in the league, and he didn't have McCaffrey, and Kittle wasn't there for a lot, and Debo, he lost his nerve, brought back Garoppolo, kind of scrapped the whole thing. So what's going to be interesting is, what if Trey Lance does better this year? What Kyle could do is be like, you know what, Brock's doing great. He's coming along. He's just not quite ready, and we don't want to rush him, and we don't need to because we have 2 starting quarterbacks, and boy, is Trey Lance playing great. So we're going to roll with Trey. It'll be week to week, and as long as Trey does well, Brock's coming, but Trey's doing great. And then if Trey ever falters, then they can go back to Brock at that point. But it seems like as long as Trey does well, it gives the Niners the license to be as cautious as they should be with Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think there's a possibility that we might see like a dual quarterback system coming into next year.
Why not? Yeah. You're not committed to either one. Both guys are young and unproven. Both of them need to be on the field. Why not? Why not?
Okay. Why
would
not?
Would Brock object? Would Trey object? I mean, I feel like this is the one situation where the 2 23-year-olds might be like, you know what? Fine. Let's do it.
And really, like, could Trey take over the Taysom Hill role? Like, could Brock be like the pace horse to get us through the offense, and then Trey be like the wrinkle guy?
So here's the thing. The problem with that, and we're going to talk about it later, is if you drafted Trey in round 2, whatever. Taysom Hill was a mid-round pick, whatever. But you took him with the top 3 pick, and you traded 3 first rounds for him. So like, and then you're going to use him like a running back. Like, that's why we're upset about the injury to begin with, is because you don't draft a running back, that you don't spend that much on a running back. So at the same time, it's kind of hard to use your quarterback that way once you've made that kind of investment. That's the only thing. And the Niners have to decide, is he the next John Elway, or is he a dual threat quarterback? And you just have to live with the injuries as they come, because he's very expensive.
I think we're afraid of just letting Trey show us what he really is. Yeah. I think that a lot of the development that we put under Trey has been very directed on, we want him to look this way. We want him to be able to operate the offense this way. Yeah. But I don't think, why I feel so bad for Trey is that Brock got an organic, raw experience of like, all right, kid, here, just do what you got to try it. You know?
See if you can run the offense the way it is. We're not really making any special.
Yeah, we're not drawing up anything for you. We're not pointing anything. We know what you might like, but we're not really pointing anything towards your strengths. Go out there and do it. And I think Brock almost kind of told them how he needs to be coached. And I think with Trey, there's just been too many hands in the pot, in a sense. Like they've had hands on him right away. And
too many ideas about the best way to develop him. The first one was don't play him for a year. That was a waste. Second one was use him as a running back early on to get some wins underneath his belt. Well, that didn't work either. So now you got to try your third approach to developing Trey Lance. And maybe it's like, letting him play quarterback. How about that? You tried not letting him play at all. Then you tried letting him play this dual threat running back type of thing, which frankly averaged 4 yards a carry. He wasn't tearing it up. It wasn't like he was Justin Fields averaging 7 yards a carry. Now you might let him play quarterback. There's still time.
Well, in the course of owning it,
yeah,
I think it's time for the fans and myself, now that we've seen what we've seen thus far with Trey and Brock, I think it's time for us to own the fact that Trey should have played right away.
Yeah.
He should have played right away. And if you look at what we got out of the years that we've had since Trey, is we've gotten NFC championships. We lost. And then we ended up going there. And then we ended up having to lean on a rookie anyway to take us there without Jimmy, which is what we were all afraid of anyway. And it ended up happening. Right. So it's almost kind of like all of the things that we feared that would happen to us ended up happening just in a slow drip over the course of years.
Also, another thing, they brought in Trey Lance and they said publicly it's because Jimmy couldn't stay healthy. But then they went back to Jimmy and then he got hurt in 2021 twice. And then he got hurt in 2022. Like, he's gotten hurt 3 seasons in a row. You said, we got to stick with Jimmy because he wins. And he gets hurt. That's which is why you brought in Trey. Come on. And now Trey might get hurt too, but you don't know that. Like, Jimmy's done it 3 seasons in a row.
And then now, if we look at the years,
4 out of 5 seasons. Sorry.
No, not a problem. And now, I mean, and this is just an accountability type of thing. Like, now, if you look at it, the biggest thing that we were all talking about is what? The window, right? And now, all of those years that have gone, the window is getting close. We can't control the size of the window.
Trent Williams, George Kittle, Eric Armstead, all guys get on the back 9 of their career.
Right. I feel like we get a little bit too high. We think a little bit too high of ourselves. And we start talking about things that really aren't any of our business, like windows. The window is what the league says the window is. The competitive nature around those who are ready to play against us. That has nothing to do with us. And quite frankly, sometimes we talk about things and we rely on things as if they're foregone conclusions. And it hurts us. Like, we were talking about the Super Bowl. Before we even got into the playoffs with Brock Purdy. You know, like, we need to check ourselves. We do, and we got a good team, but we're going to keep having these famous losses if we don't keep doing, if we don't.
And the Niners don't understand that, like, if they don't pull it off eventually, that's what you'll be remembered for forever. The famous losses. Because they're still thinking, we're going to win a Super Bowl. We're going to win one, and we're going to be champions, and we're going to be legends, and that's how everyone's going to remember us. You haven't done it yet, and you're really close to missing it. George, Eric, Trent, you in particular. I mean, I'm not saying it's your fault, but, like, the urgency should be feeling like an 11 for you guys. Like, it's now. Now.
Those are the guys that don't care about this. They don't care about the NFC Championship games. You know what I'm saying?
Check.
Like, they're here to get a ring, and I think that it's time for them to kind of step outside of the cigar room and get with the others. You know what I'm saying? And start pulling your weight. Yeah.
City Bert says, is it true Kyle drafted Trey because of that December game back in 2020 where they lost to the Bills and he became infatuated with finding the next Josh Allen? I don't know if that was ever reported. It might have been guessed.
It's a narrative.
But I feel like what happened in 2020, Jimmy was hurt. Kittle was hurt. The season was lost. A lot of players came back the final week or two to show solidarity that they're in it together. Jimmy didn't. And I felt like it was kind of like what happened just now with Jimmy not suiting up for the NFC Championship game. I think it pissed Kyle off, I'm guessing. And he reacted by trading everything for another quarterback, which might have been an emotional decision. Maybe that explains some stuff. So that's, I think, it all came back to the injuries and what Martellus Bennett said and Julian Edelman said and business decisions.
Yeah, we dip our hands in the pot too much, man. Like, trying to make things happen that we ain't supposed to be touching.
Agree. Tony says Trey got this. BP made him realize something. You texted me something yesterday, and I totally agree with it.
Did.
Tell him. Okay.
I text you. I want to remember it verbatim. I said that Brock Purdy crawled so Trey Lance could walk, just like Quan crawled so Fred could walk.
That's right.
And I said sometimes you got to see it. Tony, I agree with you 100%. let's talk about it. Like, we all know that Fred is a leader, and being a leader is in you. You know, you don't become, you just don't say you're a leader. So I'm not here to say that Fred Warner was never who he is. He's a leader, but I feel like Quan Alexander gave Fred Warner a lens into
this is what a veteran leader in the NFL acts.
How to emotionally connect with the NFL. You know, how to really, how to put your stamp on the NFL, how to make yourself be known, how to how to go about your business. Not even handle your business, but how to go about your business.
Go from the 3rd round pick from BYU to the man.
Right.
The man.
And we saw it, and what's funny is we saw it and we let Fred have space to, you got to wear in a pair of shoes.
At first, it didn't seem super authentic.
It did not.
No,
it did not.
It didn't.
But
now it does.
It's so
now it
awesome.
does. Now it does. He's super intimidating. Yes.
Fred found his voice, and I'm happy for Fred. But for those paying attention, that was clearly a lateral. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one of the things that
he's like, Quan acts like that. I can do that.
Yeah.
No problem. That's what they want. That's the personality they want. I can do that. Yeah.
We listen to Trey talk, and this is the first time that I've heard Trey talk in kind of a free form atmosphere where he can just talk. Yeah. And Trey is very confident.
Very confident. He's not like sitting up there like trying to like disappear in his chair like some people.
Yeah. He needs to work on the super excited, but it's very
super excited, and at the end of the days.
The end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but he's very confident. I like the fact that he's a lot more assertive. He's very matter-of-factly. He kind of brings up some awkward things. I like where he's coming from, and I'm not here to say that Trey is mimicking anybody or putting on an act, but I feel like sometimes you need other players to kind of give you permission to be yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, okay, so he's kind of doing it this way. I can kind of open.
Because to me, what Trey's idea was, he's like, man, I'm young. I'm the youngest player on this team.
And then here comes Brock.
And I'm like, I'm replacing their friend. You know what I mean? They all love Jimmy. Like, I'm gonna win them over. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna walk on eggshells. I'm gonna be super nice to everyone. And it didn't work. And I'm sure you're thinking like, damn, like what did I do wrong? And then you got Brock Purdy just kind of like strutting into the freaking huddle, being like, hey, shut up. And they're like, hey, I like this kid. So like, hey, you gotta take it just like that. Yeah.
There's 4 words that let people know that Brock was here. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he said.
Like,
yeah.
That's what he said. And I feel like I feel like Brock in a way has given Trey permission to
shut the fuck up.
Thank you. to not say shut the fuck up necessarily. If you need to, do what you do. It's your team.
Yeah.
But to make this thing his own. And I really like the question that Brady Quinn gave Trey about kind of name association with players. And you could tell that Trey is conscientious and he's an observer. So I like what I see from Trey mentally. And what we talked about before is he did mention his mindset, how it was rough for him at first, but it got a lot more easier for him once he found his role. And one of the things of finding closure, like we said, and 2 is ready to take responsibility for your role. And if you start to understand your role, you're in a good place.
Sean says, y'all are right, but you got to let them grieve. Everyone can't grieve gracefully. Been to many funerals. It can be ugly. Sure. And especially with this season, the funeral happened like no one saw it coming this way, this soon. It was shocking. I understand.
Yeah.
One last thing. Kyle better win the damn Super Bowl next year. Yeah, I like that. Kyle, you listening?
Yeah.
Hey, no pressure. All right, moving on. So we just talked about, I guess we just did this. We gave our takeaways from the Trey Lance interview. I think we just did it. Here's what I want to talk about. So Trey Lance is coming off a broken ankle. We saw last year when he was the starter how Kyle Shanahan wanted to use him initially. It was aggressive as a runner. I mean, it was like half running back, half quarterback. Even more aggressive than I would say what the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts. Is that sustainable? Do you think they'll go right back to that approach this year? Or do you think it's time to stop the dual threat stuff and make his running be like scrambles and the occasional zone read near the goal line?
Well, that's entirely upon Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator. not Kyle Shanahan, the head coach. I'm gonna keep burning that into people's minds so people understand. One, this is just personal preference, but I don't think the dual quarterback system is sustainable over time. Even Jalen Hurts, God love him, but he's even falling apart near the end of the season, and he's behind the best offensive line in the league, right? So if you got a quarterback who can't stay healthy on a team that has the best protection in the business, right? And just adding a little bit of context, Jalen Hurts isn't some wilting flower. He's a power lifter. He squats 600 pounds. All right, like he's not just some little fawn running out in the meadow waiting to get clipped.
You put him in the backfield next to Miles Sanders. Like he's way bigger than Miles Sanders. Like he's
a big kid.
He's a big dude. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, even if we're looking at Josh Allen, I watch those Josh Allen games and I look at him almost like a boxer. I'm like, man, they are shaving years off his career, man. The way they use him. Yeah. You know, I think it's almost kind of like, it's good if you want him for 3 years. You want him 3 to 4 years. All right. Exactly. That's okay. But if you want to do it the traditional quarterback is there for 10 plus years and you get to see the gray in his beard. No. That's not happening.
And to me, like, that's why where you draft a guy matters. Like, with the Eagles, man, they took – here's something you may not know. I was looking it up today. They took Miles Sanders with the 53rd pick in 2019. Then they took Jalen Hurts with the 53rd pick in 2020. They're both running backs. One guy throws sometimes. But they're both essentially used as running backs, have the risk of being a running back. So just like – running back is a very important position, but the NFL's figured out over the last 15 years, unless you really think you're getting Barry Sanders – you don't draft that position in round 1. You get it in round 2. You wait until round 2. And that's how the position has evolved. Now, I mean, every year 5 quarterbacks go in round 1. It's like, hold on. One of these guys is worth it. The other 5 guys are fugazi. And you should just, if you really want to run a guy, wait. Take him in round 2. You'll find a running back / quarterback in round 2. The Niners didn't do that.
Jalen Hurts is just the extension of their running game. He's their power running back.
Yup.
He's their...
And you can do that without conscience when he's the 53rd pick in the draft. It's like, well, I took a running back there last year.
And you can run your strongest runner when nobody's in the box. Jalen Hurts gets those runs when there's 6-man boxes, when people are out in coverage, where your traditional power running back is going to get bodies around him. So,
but if he gets hurt, he wasn't making $15 million. He wasn't a first-round pick or 3 first-round picks. He was the 53rd pick. It was Miles Sanders. With an arm.
But that's not, but you know, all right, so that's the, forgive me, but that's the fantasy football side of football, right? But that's not romantic, right? That's not what fans want to see. Yeah. Fans want to get to know their players.
Franchise quarterback, here forever, get your jersey. Yes, sure.
So what happened is that...
And that's what the Niners sold Trey Lance as when they traded up. He's going to be, he's not Lamar. He's going to be John Elway.
Yeah, he's going to be here. He's going to be a linchpin, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand, like, if you're going to, all right, let's do it your way. Even if you adopted that type of football, right? You're not going to have to you can't fall in love with anybody, right?
They got to be interchangeable. Yeah. And what's going to happen to Philly once they start paying Jalen Hurts $35 million a year? Can you run him anymore? How do you run him? You can't. No. You can't. So your team changes.
The only way that team works is because of what they have around Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
They can't make Jalen Hurts the focus of that team.
You can't.
Right?
But so, with this formula right now, they're damn near unbeatable. I mean, they've lost 1 game this year with him. 1.
And so they got to pay him.
1. They're in a conundrum. They got
to pay him. And then you look at that. I mean, honestly, we're just looking at our own fate, but just ahead, because what happens when we got to pay Trey? Right?
That's true. Now, real quick, the Eagles did pay Carson Wentz. It was a mistake. They got rid of him. They moved on. Like, you can, if you realize it's a mistake, you don't have to compound it. The Niners held on to Jimmy Garoppolo for like 10 years, it felt like. Eagles at least move on, even if they take the dead cap hit. Something to point out. You know,
true.
You could give Jalen Hurts the money, and then if it doesn't work in 3 years, trade him and move on. So that's probably what they'll do. And you know what else they'll do? I bet you they draft another quarterback in round 2, just to be careful.
Dude, because you know why? I think because of what college football is doing, there's so many more. Like, I feel like Jalen Hurts and Trey Lance and Justin Fields, these guys are kind of like the first blue chip guys to come out, but college is becoming so much more interchangeable. There's guys like that literally all over the country. Like,
Yeah. I mean, Anthony Richardson is a legit athlete. Like, wow.
Yeah, Jake Herter.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's guys, man, around.
Yeah. Yep,
So
absolutely. And if the scheme that's so popular right now is Kyle's scheme, maybe that's not great for some of these athletes coming out like Justin Fields, but I keep thinking, okay, Justin Fields, some people think he's a bust. What if he was on Philly though? What if he was in that kind of a scheme? Maybe if they win the Super Bowl, it's a copycat league and that scheme proliferates around the league, you'll see more dual threat quarterbacks have success and stay healthy.
And then also, if you think about the dual quarterback scenario that you're talking about, if you get them in, you basically, head coaches usually last 3 to 5 years, period, right? So you get a guy in, right? And what happens is that you basically load up the team because the quarterback doesn't cost anything. Everybody's happy, right? Yeah. And all pro players love playing with other good players. It makes them look good, right? So you have a loaded team. Everybody's getting paid. The most important guy is young. Yep. So his job
is relatively easy because he's got the best O-line, the 2 wide receivers, the tight end, the running back. Yep. It's just he has to put himself on the line and run too. And
the only problem is just the fan issue. It's going to be hard to get fans to wrap their mind around this quarterback. If we want a great team, then we can't focus on our quarterback.
It's not about the franchise quarterback. It's about the team.
It's not about them.
But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. I just feel like
this game, this Super Bowl is an argument against both of those narratives. The franchise quarterback versus the great team with the quarterback that can get it done. So we'll see.
That's why I feel like the Eagles have built it right. I feel like, obviously the Chiefs did too. They didn't get lucky. They didn't luck into Patrick Mahomes, but only one team can do what the Chiefs are doing. Every team can try to model themselves after the Eagles. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So it's important, I think, for teams to look at them as a model, because I feel like the college game hasn't really been integrated by the NFL as well as it should have been. Some teams try. Some teams have failed. Arizona, what the hell were they doing? But this feels like a good medium of NFL and college concepts.
It does. It does. I'm really interested to see who wins out, because I feel like, in a way, this game is an argument for which style of football is going to be pushed into the league.
Do you just put all your money into the quarterback position, or do you actually try to put it into the rest of your team? I love it.
It's a copycat league, so people are going to follow.
Yeah, because, right now, the paradigm is it's the quarterback. It's quarterback, it's quarterback, it's quarterback. Is it? Because that leads
really
to...
not.
It's not. That leads you to get teams giving Dak Prescott $40 million a year. Kirk Cousins $40 million a year.
And you're watching them sit the bed at the end of the year.
You're screwed. You got not going anywhere. And the Niners learned this with Jimmy. The Eagles learned it with Carson Wentz. They learned. And they're a little bit ahead of the curve now. So anyway, it's interesting. Corey Soto says, short memories in the NFL. I'll keep it a buck. Nick Foles looked better in his breakout than Purdy. I'm not trusting anyone after 8 games. Nick Foles was really – he was great under Chip Kelly that year. He actually had some moments.
They ran some stuff that the league had never seen before too.
Yeah, they were ahead of the curve on the RPO stuff. Defenses were like, we need an off season to figure this one out.
Yeah, that wasn't really Nick Foles, honestly.
And again, Nick Foles is another guy who couldn't stay healthy playing. He might have been a starting quarterback, but he got hurt a lot. All right, last topic.
Okay.
What do you think the most important position for the Niners? What is the most important position for the Niners to address this offseason? Last season, they felt it was corner. They got Charvarius Ward. He was a terrific addition. What do you think? If they're going to make one splurge in free agency, let's start there. If one splurge in free agency, what do you think that splurge should be? Or are they not in a position to make any?
Well, damn. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. If we were to have the bread to go get somebody, I would get another corner. I feel like with the linebacking core that we have and with the coaching surrounded with the requisite guys that we can bring in for our defensive line, we'll be okay. I feel like those are, as far as pedigree is concerned, our linebacking core is as good as it gets. With our D line, I'm really okay with Nick going in with what we have now with Eric and Coach Kasarik and what they would do to just bring it in. But
Drake Jackson
corner,
could have a huge freaking jump year 2 and be the guy, the
exactly.
number 2. He could, yeah.
But corner is something that always seems to get us. It bites us. And I feel like even with E-Man going down, I mean, are we going to pay him? And is he still going to be E-Man once he gets back? I hope he is, right? I want him to be. But that's a real question. Yeah, and I feel like Trevarius gave us a couple of hiccups during the year, but he did show us what it feels like to
he
put
was
a guy
excellent
out.
against AJ Brown. He was excellent
Very
against AJ
good.
Brown. Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I think another corner would really solidify us defensively. I think another corner would free up a lot of what we do on a defensive line, where we could actually get home a lot faster if we actually got another guy.
I thought the defense was so much better before Emmanuel Mosley went down. I thought they were getting coverage sacks. I mean, I thought they were
when Emmanuel Mosley was playing,
yeah.
and he's really the key ingredient. Like we struggle with Javon, we struggle with interior help all year, but really, even though we were the number one defense throughout the year, in my opinion, what took us down from legendary to really, really good is when we lost E-Man.
I agree.
Agree. Yeah, hold on, that's my phone. So having E-Man took us to the next level, and we can't afford to lose him, or lose that type of production again. So I would say doubling down and getting another corner will be good. I
think an underrated signing for the Eagles this year was James Bradbury, adding him to Darius Slay. I mean, it's one thing to have a shutdown corner, but if you have just a guy on the other side,
you can go after him. If you're looking at that pass rush for Philly, a lot of that was coverage. A lot of that was quarterbacks not being able to get that ball out. And I feel like that's kind of a missing element to our defense. We get a lot of turnovers by way of our defensive line pressure, and we kind of defend the pass from the line of scrimmage. And I feel like we would be a lot better served if we got another corner to help us out. So another corner.
That's interesting. I mean, it's always a good position to address in free agency because it's cheaper than offensive tackle. It's cheaper than anything on the D-line. It's a very important position. Obviously, the Niners have to improve in the trenches too. But if they're going to improve at right tackle, man, that's expensive. If they're going to improve at D tackle, if they're going to get Daron Payne,
that's ask.
That's another Eric Armstead contract or more. So I'm with you. I mean, I think you could probably get. But the question is the best? Can the Niners even afford Emmanuel Mosley? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't even know.
I mean, for sure, there's going to have to be some restructuring. For sure. This offseason, because we only got like 16 in cap room, right?
Let me see what they got. That's a good question. I don't even know. 49ers. I don't even know. Let's see. Mm-hmm. They're saying, I don't know. $8 million is saying on over the cap right now. But that'll probably change. $8 million.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, I mean, they got to do something. But if we had to bring in, and of course, we're talking about like one impact guy, the most impact. For me, it would be a corner. Being able to successfully walk into a game week in and week out saying that we could take two of your best pass catchers off the field.
Yeah.
That's a huge get. And a lot of teams don't have that.
And it'll help the pass rush. Because I feel like a lot of times what the Niners do is they play off with like Lenore or the corners they don't trust, and they just give up these quick throws. Like how are you going to get pressure if you're just giving up quick throws? The whole idea early in the season was let's play press, let's take away the quick throws, force the quarterback to hold the ball and hitch and get hit, and it worked. But you can't. I mean, once Lenore plays press and gets beat one time, Ryan's is like, okay, we can't do that anymore.
Also, you know what else another corner would do? Another corner, in a sense, would kind of help us out with our Jimmy Ward problems too. We're always taking him out of position to come down and play nickel because we're absent of that another outside guy. We need another corner. We got to stop robbing Peter to pay Paul with getting this done. We got to get another corner.
Yeah, right? I agree. And Lenore, nothing against Lenore, but he should be like the nickel. I don't know that he's a starting outside corner, although he came through down the stretch. Shout out Diameter. But
definitely.
No offense. Yeah, I think it's just, you're going to have to defend the best wide receivers in the league. And you got to have premium talent at that position. You need two.
And everything else is homegrown, right? We've done a phenomenal job, but it's time to go get another hired gun there. I think another corner will be phenomenal.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do at right tackle. I mean, it's possible the right side of their offensive line next year is going to be Burford and Jalen Moore. I mean, I don't know. They're young, they're athletic, but yikes.
I'll say this: at this time of the season last year, we were even a little further into the season, we were absolutely befuddled about what they were going to do at safety, what they were going to do at right guard, what they were going to do at the other corner,
center.
Like center. Remember, we were like, what are they going to do?
They patched it together.
Yeah,
they found some great
them.
safeties.
Right now, they're circling the wagons and they're taking some much needed rest. But one thing that I will say over the years, for good or for worse, they always come up with answers. So let's see what they come up with.
Yeah, because last year what they decided was they need to get a better corner and they needed to improve on special teams. So they essentially said, DJ Jones, we love you, but we're going to trade you essentially for a corner. We're not going to pay you. We're going to give that money and some to this. And it was, I mean, DJ Jones is a really good player, but it was a good call. It was a good makes call. A bigger impact.
Right, and it hurt to let DJ go. I didn't think it was. I was like, man, we letting DJ go, but
they still have a great run defense. I mean,
it worked out.
It did. So now, what are they? Those were two things last year that they honed in on: corner, special teams. What'll it be this year? I can see corner because they're going to have to make a sizable offer to Emmanuel Mosley. He might get better than that, and if we'll see.
That'll be something that I know we're going to talk about down the road. What are these moves that the Niners make? What does that say about how they want to get better? Right?
Yep, absolutely. Rich says we need a stud right tackle and a legit number 2 tight end. See, I don't think Kyle thinks he needs a stud right tackle because what's great about the stud right tackle allows you to play like the Eagles or where you have open formations, where you can detach your tight end, where you can play spread. Kyle's a condensed old school 1997 offense. Like he embraces the old school right tackle who's, you know what I mean? Like not many teams do anymore, but he does.
Offense, the right tackle doesn't get treated like today's right tackle.
Right. He's not on an island very much. Yeah.
Today's right tackle is essentially a left tackle.
A left tackle.
He's asked to do the same exact things. He has to be just as athletic. And in our offense, the right tackle is not asked to be that athletic.
No, really, because there's very few plays where they're just, 5 wide or whatever. It doesn't happen very much.
But you know what's crazy is that during the very few plays, that's because the game schemes us up that way. And it's time for us to start realizing that, we have an identity, but teams they're picking at us for a reason. And they come at us on defense a certain way because of the fact that they scout us up and they're like, all right, well, they lean on that right side. Right. They power on this right side. They lean on the left side. They power on the right side. And when they pass and go play action, he rolls out left because we know they don't got nothing on the right side. And, teams are smart.
One thing is like what they don't necessarily have to find Tristan Wirfs. They're not going to. But what kills me is that McGlinchey has this reputation as being a good run blocker. Man, it seemed to me that whenever they had successful runs in 2022, it was to the left. And I feel like if they could get someone who's just a better run blocker than what McGlinchey is today, at this point in his career, that would help. Because I feel like this part of the reason they stopped trying to impose their will as a running team is they were very left-handed as a running team
I agree with
this year.
that.
If you could just get a better run blocker at right tackle, that would be great. And Caleb McGarry, who a lot of people have been pointing out, I know he's expensive, but he's very, very highly rated run blocking right tackle this year. They could get him.
Go get a guy like this. Yeah. Like reasons why coaches are always held to high scrutiny is because you're only asked to put 11 out there. Go get a guy. All right. I understand that the market is hard and everything, but that's why you get paid millions of dollars. There's only 11. Go get 11.
Yeah, and your team is so good. Like, you only have 3 or 4 little spots where you could even say, like, I don't necessarily have an entrenched starter here. Maybe we can improve. How many places can you really improve this team? 3? Come on. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. I dare you.
They're going to find a way. They will.
I think they will.
I feel like the holes on this team that don't get filled are because of hubris or money. That's really it. It's either because we think, we'll scheme it up, we'll go around it, that's something that we can coach up internally, or we just flat out can't afford it.
One more position that's important for the Niners to address this offseason, and it might be the most important. They just won't address it in a big way, but they will. Quarterback. They will. They're going to draft one, and they're going to probably sign one too. And now maybe these guys are just camp arms to get them through the offseason, but from the Niners' track record, they go through quarterbacks like they go through running backs. And they just might draft the next Brock Purdy this year. It's important. They might have to. Otherwise, the Niners are all thinking Brock's going to come back and everything's going to be great. Well, worst case scenario, this season goes left. The quarterbacks aren't healthy, and it's a travesty. So quarterback position got to be addressed. I think they will.
Yeah.
I don't know who they're getting, though.
I agree that they need to get another quarterback. Not only everybody says it when they get here is that the playbook is big. It's hard to traverse. And if we have a problem keeping quarterbacks upright, you need to have as many guys in the building learning that system as possible. So
constantly.
Yeah. And again, we talked about the emergency quarterback. What would an emergency quarterback would have done in our offense? What type of expertise or type of knowledge transfer is going on with an emergency quarterback on a Kyle Shanahan offense? So with that said, I think that we need to have guys constantly learning this offense, because when we can have anybody, we've seen what can happen when we don't have this, and that's some of the stuff that frustrates you and all of us when we get the type of exit meetings that we get, where you want to hear the head guy saying, you know what, we got to have some more quarterbacks in the room. We kind of got caught flat-footed.
Every season, it seems like they fall short because they either didn't have enough running backs or quarterbacks. They just run out of bodies at those two positions. It's like, how many bodies have they accumulated at running back? I mean, every year they get in two more. That's how they should approach the quarterback position too. Bring in two. Draft a guy, sign an undrafted free agent every year, because they get hurt and it's an important position and you don't really know. If they thought they hit on Ty Davis Price, you hit on Jordan Mason. Great. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that you missed on TDP.
Swing again.
Just keep bringing in bodies.
Swing again. Yeah.
Swing again.
So and that's why I like our draft, especially with as many picks as we have. We got a shit ton of picks this year. I want as many bodies as possible, because for us, thankfully, we still have a foundation. So bring in the bodies, bring in the guys that are supplementary in role. They have a specific thing that they know how to do, and we can coach up the other stuff later. A la Stevie Burford, a la Drake Jackson, where that's what we do. We bring in young guys where we can ingest the skill set that can be utilized right away up against the veterans that we already have, and we build the plane in the air with time on task, right? The only player that we did not do that with was Trey Lance. And look where it got us. Right. We did it with Burford. We did it with Hufanga. We did it with Demo. We did it with all of our young guys, where we made trial by fire. We threw them out there, and we trusted our veterans to play alongside these guys and bring them up. And there's one time that we broke outside of our identity, and look where it's gotten us.
That's right. 2 wasted years for him, and no NFC and no Super Bowl title for the Niners.
How much of a veteran-laden team do we have if we can't ingest this kid right away? What is
good
that?
Call. It's a good point. What's the point of having all these veterans? CT Law says facts. Lance not sure if he can run, plus wasted time and money. Purdy don't know if he could ever throw a ball again, and Jimmy hates the head coach for valid reasons. Disrespected him. So Kyle made his bed, not effed. CT Law, man. I feel you, man. Yeah. It does seem kind of cruel that the dual threat quarterback messed up his ankle. The little quarterback with the questionable arm strength messed up his elbow. Like, man, that's bad luck.
Yeah.
That's bad luck.
It's a bad rap.
Anyway, that's the show. You gotta get back to work. That was a great show, man. I love this show.
Hey, bro.
It's a hell of a show.
Too, man. I love this show, man. I like the fact that the fans have helped let me grow, bro. I'm getting better, guys. Thank you.
It's been 5 shows. You're a natural. Next week I'm gonna be in Miami, so we're gonna have to find I'll be on East Coast time with you. We'll find a time to do it.
We'll get it.
We'll
get it together.
We'll do it from the pool. You feel me?
You fancy. Treat yourself.
You feel me? Thank you. See you guys.
All right.